There will be so many spoilers in this video, so if you haven't seen Shang Chi yet, go watch the film and then come back. There's also a lot of Chinese names that I will no doubt be butchering throughout this video, but just know I was really trying to pronounce them all correctly. Shang Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is the latest installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and oh my goodness, I love this movie so much. The film is just a little over 2 hours long, and it has acquired a 92% critically and a 98% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Shang Chi joins Guardians of the Galaxy and Spider-Man Homecoming, which both sit at 92% critically as well on Rotten Tomatoes. Shang Chi is the first film since the pandemic that Disney has not released on Disney Plus alongside their traditional theater release, but apparently the film will be gracing Disney Plus mid-October after it's had its 45 days exclusively in theaters. I've seen this film 3 times, and I love it even more with each watch. First of all, I love that this film has so much Chinese spoken throughout. The filmmakers weren't afraid to trust the audience to stay engaged despite having to read subtitles. It reinforces the authenticity of the film and immerses the viewer in Chinese culture just that much more. I love Shang-Chi and Katie's relationship. It was nice to see a relationship where the characters are best friends first and foremost, even if their relationship could turn into something more along the line. The chemistry between the two characters was so much fun to watch on screen. You can really tell that they care for each other, which just makes you love their characters even more. Speaking of relationships, I love the relationship between Shang-Chi's parents, Wenwu and Ying Li. Even though this story is meant to be focused on Shang-Chi's story, you can't ignore how much his parents influence his story and how important their relationship is to the overall story. The opening scene in Ta Lo was so pretty and just so sweet to see Shang-Chi's parents fall in love. I love how the mother showed the father a new outlook on life. Oh my gosh, and when she died, I was like, Marvel, how can you play with my emotions like that? I really enjoyed watching the difference in the fighting styles between Wenwu and Ying Li and how it illustrated the difference in approaches of anger and aggression compared to being more peaceful. I also really enjoyed Ying Nan's role in the film. I like how she elaborated on what Shang-Chi's mother had already taught him to make him the fighter scene at the end of the film. I thought Death Dealer was a really interesting character. It was cool that he kept the kabuki mask on the whole time. We never saw his face, which left him in a shroud of mystery. I viewed him as just that bad guy who didn't really need a reason to be bad other than looking like a really cool bad guy. I thought it was kind of funny that he was the first to get his soul sucked out. It was a good illustration of how nobody was safe. But if you're sad to see him go, you can purchase a t-shirt with his face on it. I loved all of the different types of martial arts. I loved literally all of the fights. The bus fight was just the best ramp up for the rest of the fights in the film. I also really loved this move with the jacket. And check it out, his jacket is reversible. I totally didn't notice that until the 3rd watch. I also really liked the fight that the teenage Shang-Chi had with all of his father's henchmen in the courtyard. I liked the low-level camera movement and the dark lighting. I love the younger versions of Shang-Chi and Xialing. Jaden Zhang and Elodie Fong did a great job, and you can't help but love them the minute you see them on screen. I love the conflict between what Shang-Chi learned from his father and what his mother taught him. I don't know if I would even describe it so much as a conflict, maybe just the difference between what he learned from his father and mother, since Shang-Chi wouldn't be everything that he is at the end of the film without the teachings of both of them. I love how he was able to combine both styles of fighting that he was taught to truly create his own fighting style. Katie was awesome and hilarious throughout the film. Awkwafina was really just the perfect human being to play this character. I wonder if the writers had Awkwafina in mind when they were writing this character, and like, how much improv did Awkwafina bring to the character? I really liked how when Shang-Chi was explaining his backstory to Katie on the plane, after everything he said, like the crazy things his father did, Katie said she was sorry about his mother. I just thought that was a great character moment between the two. I also like it when comedic characters are more than just the comedy. They can bring emotion and drama, which I don't know if y'all have seen The Farewell, because Awkwafina can definitely play both comedic and dramatic roles. Also, Awkwafina got to do some actual stunt driving. That's so awesome. We must talk about how perfect Simu Liu is for this role. Not only does he have all of the awesome fighting and martial arts stuff down, he was able to bring all the emotional depth that the character called for. I also love that the rings turned gold for him just like how they turned gold for his mother. Just a great visual connection between Shang-Chi and Ying Li. I thought it was hilarious how big of a role Trevor played in this film. And oh my gosh, Morris. I love Morris so much. There's like a mini stuffed animal of Morris and I want it so bad. There is also a t-shirt just for Morris. Xialing is an awesome character. She's so cool. And this is Meng-Er Zhang's feature film debut. She has done some theater stuff before, but oh my gosh, she did such a great job in this film. I love how much her character played such an important role throughout the film, and I think it's pretty cool that she took over her father's empire. It was set up in the beginning of the film when she said if her father wasn't gonna let her into his empire, she was gonna build her own. Character continuity! I do hope she's not as dark as what her father's empire stood for. Hopefully she doesn't go as dark as having to die to redeem herself in the eyes of the audience. I thought that end credit scene was awesome, and end credit scene definitely worth waiting until the end for. I also love that she's covering her father's complex in graffiti. Gives it a nice touch. I would say the character of Xialing was the character that I was expecting the least when going into this film. I I'd really only seen one trailer before seeing this film, and that trailer didn't go into the fact that Shang Chi had a sister at all. So the reveal in the fighting arena cage thing was the most epic thing ever for me. I look forward to seeing how Marvel chooses to continue the character of Xialing through the MCU. Will she get her own film, her own Disney Plus series spin-off? Also, the weapon that she's using is really cool. It's a weapon I've never seen before and is referred to as a rope dart or a rope javelin. I'm pretty sure she was the only character using this weapon in the final battle, which was cool. It made it her unique way of fighting, and it did make her stand out compared to the rest of the styles of fighting. I also want to note that she was wearing white in the final battle. In Chinese culture, the color white can be associated with death and is typically worn at funerals. Was this a subconscious way to suggest that Xialing wasn't going to be following in her brother or her mother's footsteps, rather her father's footsteps? I thought that was a super interesting visual detail and something I actually didn't notice until the second viewing of this film. I really love the score and the soundtrack of the film. I'm not entirely sure the logistics of copyright, so I'm not going to be playing it on this video, but go check out the music on Spotify or YouTube or something, because all of the music from this film was impactful and an essential piece to the storytelling of this film. There's a great article on Variety about the music that Joel P. West composed for this film. West talks of how he utilized the pentatonic scale, fundamental to Chinese music, and how he used the stringed erhu and pipa, the xiao and dizi flutes, the hammered dulcimer like yangqing, and the zither like guzheng, as well as tanggu drums, which can 100% be heard during the awesome martial arts moments throughout the film. I loved all of the Chinese music influences on the score and thought it added to the film so much. It really immerses you in the culture of the film without alienating those not from Chinese culture. I really enjoyed this film and love the fact that MCU is expanding even more to include as many different cultures as possible. I love the standalone vibe of this film. Shang-Chi really stands out as its own movie. It's not relying on other movies for it to make sense or be the best that it can be. I think it's a great spot for a new MCU fan to jump in. I really love the family aspect of this film. It makes a great connecting point for all viewers. I'm so excited to see what the MCU does with all of these characters in future MCU projects. I'm pretty sure I'll be seeing lots of sequel material from this film. I'm so happy that this movie is doing so well and is so successful. Let me know what you loved about this film down in the comments, and I'll see you next time.